Good evening. So, on January the 30th, 2020, I stood up in the European Parliament. I waved my Union Jack flag. I said goodbye. I caught Eurostar. And today is my first public return to Brussels in 4 years. Now, I hadn't expected to be welcomed exactly with open arms by this community, but what happened today was truly extraordinary. A conference being held by NatCon, National Conservatism, run by the Edmund Burke Society, based in Washington, D.C., bringing together conservative voices from America, the UK, and the whole of Europe. Attending the conference, members of European royal families, very senior businessmen and businesswomen, elected representatives from national parliaments, from the European Parliament, leaders of political parties who will top the polls in at least 9 countries in the European Union in the June elections of this year. And tomorrow morning, due to speak, the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban. But of course, the devil of the whole piece is me. Because the others are all sceptical about Brussels, I'm the one that led a campaign for us to leave it. Indeed, I think the rest of Europe should leave it. So I'm used to being treated badly. But what happened today to me and everybody else that expresses the view that ever closer political union is not a desirable goal is, I think, truly reminiscent, in many ways, of the old Soviet Union. If you don't toe the line, you're to be banned. If you don't toe the line, you are mad, bad, probably mentally ill, and really quite dangerous. So the conference was planned a couple of months ago. 48 hours ago, the venue that was holding this conference, and that included a lunch, a big dinner, they were contacted by the mayor of Brussels, the mayor of the whole city of Brussels, a man who was very happy to have the mayor of Tehran here last year as a guest. They were contacted and it was suggested they shouldn't go ahead with the conference. They cancelled. We then moved on yesterday morning to a place, a Sofitel in Place Jourdain. And last night, at about 7:30, the local mayor of that district of Brussels, a Belgian liberal, a friend of my friend Guy Verhofstadt, said the conference can't go ahead. At 9 o'clock last night, the NatCon organisers found a venue in the Saint-Josse district of Brussels, run by a Tunisian businessman. It's effectively a nightclub. He said, look, I don't care what your opinions are, provided you stick within the law and let's smash the place up, I'm very happy to have your business. And yet, the local mayor of Saint-Josse, a man who has been kicked out of the Belgian Socialist Party because of his links with extremist Islamist groups in Turkey, applied pressure on a level you can't believe, directly telephoning the owner of the club. The owner's wife being threatened online. Suppliers who were due to bring in cutlery, crockery, food, drinks for lunch being told, you deliver to this venue, to this event, and you will go out of business. And I turned up in the middle of all of this, and whilst I was on stage, the Belgian police came into the venue with an instruction from the local mayor to close down the meeting. Now, there were only 3 of them. There were many, many high hundreds inside the room. There were also TV cameras there from all over the world. And the police kind of bottled out of doing it, but closed the venue, didn't allow anyone else in, including former French presidential candidate Eric Zemmour, who was denied entry to the building. Later on, the police were there in riot gear, fearing for public order. Now, there was no danger of public order from within the room, but a counter-demonstration was planned, at which about 5 or 6 saddos turned up to say, we shouldn't be there, we're not entitled to our views. It has been truly the most extraordinary day in Brussels. Now, for me, this is nothing. In my last years here, I was barred from coffee bars, barred from restaurants, even barred from a pub I've been using for 20 years. But today, they brought that cancel culture, they brought that intolerance onto the world stage. And now, from British TV stations across America and the whole of Europe, everyone can see the true face of this European Union. And yet, when we come to the British Labour Party, this is what Jonathan Ashworth had to say earlier on today.
I think some of the speakers, from what I understand, who have been advertised on the website for this conference, have very unsavoury views. I'm rather surprised that Suella Braverman's been allowed to go and speak at this event. Why is Rishi Sunak not getting a grip of this situation? Why is he not asking Suella Braverman to pull out of this event? Because some of the characters involved, at least according to their website, have made all kinds of comments which I don't think the Rishi Sunak's Tory party would want to associate themselves with.
And just to prove what the new Labour government will be like, he was backed up by rising star of the Labour movement, Wes Streeting.
And of course a source close to the Right Honourable Member for Fareham, who couldn't be here today with us, Mr Deputy Speaker, because she's currently in Brussels surrounded by the police who are trying to shut down the event she's attending with some far-right fanatics with whom she has much in common. She said that she is not a fan of the bill. Well, now she knows how the rest of us feel about the Right Honourable Member for Fareham too.
Can you see what's coming down the line with a new Labour government, given that Sir John Curtis, the doyen of political commentators, says it's 99% certain that the next time we have a Prime Minister, it is going to be Keir Starmer? Well, I'm very pleased to say that Rishi Sunak's official spokesman said, clearly, these reports are extremely disturbing. Even the Prime Minister of Belgium, which is not a country I've always had great relations with, said what happened at the Claridge, the name of the club today, is unacceptable. Yanis Varoufakis, the hard lefty who for a time was the finance minister in Greece, has said, I'm no political friend of Nigel Farage, but I would hate it if anyone like Nigel was prevented from speaking merely because he may say things that may annoy, among other people, myself. And the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, has said, what is happening in Brussels leaves us in disbelief and dismay. So apart from the nerdy, puritanical types that Keir Starmer wants to make our future cabinet ministers, across the board, across a wide political spectrum, what has happened today has met with absolute condemnation, and so it should. Let me tell you something. If at any point in the last 4 years I'd ever for one moment doubted Brexit, or at least doubted how it had been conducted by a Conservative government, what I saw today in Brussels absolutely confirmed to me that leaving this monstrous union, with its deep intolerance, with its refusal to accept that anybody else can have an alternative point of view, today proved to me that Brexit absolutely was the right thing to do.